Coming up on Transformers University, we have Target Masters, Headmasters, Dinobots, Galvatron, Cup, and some ladies. All right now on Transformers University. Hello, my friend, and welcome to episode number 112 of Transformers University. I am your host, Anthony Brucali, owner, operator, madman behind TFU.INFO, the website, the toy archive, this podcast, TFU News and Views podcast, and oh so much more. I want to welcome you to the first episode of Transformers University for 2022. And it's episode 112. I'm recording this on 112, January 12th, 2022. And I'm excited to be back in the swing of things for Transformers University. And if you haven't been catching up, we have 2 new episodes this year of TFU News and Views. Plus, I've made a guest appearance on my friend Mike Seibert's show, Mike Seibert Radio Podcast. And you can check that out over basically wherever you hear this podcast. But it was such a long conversation, we split it into 2 episodes. And it was just a great hang. So if you haven't gotten enough of me, please go check out Mike's podcast. We talk a lot of recent and current things in Transformers, pop culture, movies, G.I. Joe. There's a lot of fun stuff that we covered in that time. So please do go check it out. Today, we are sticking in Europe for one more episode. I assure you, we're going to leave Transformers Europe 1987 at least for a little while. After this episode, but we want to cover a little bit more of Marvel UK, and this time we're going to cover 9 issues of Marvel UK, issues 130 through 138. Now, these books take place between US issues 31 and 32. So if you're keeping score at home, these take place between Car Wash of Doom and Used Autobots. For the most part, these issues feature 2 stories each, because as they were publishing the new Transformers UK content, they were also publishing the Headmasters limited series, which we covered back in episode 105, as backup stories. So spread out along these 9 issues is also the Headmasters limited series. But we won't be talking about those again. No worries there. And each of these stories is a 2-parter with the exception of one, because we do have an odd number here. So we have 4 2-parters plus a one-off. And it all starts with issue 130, Worlds Apart, Part 1, written by Simon Furman, pencils by Will Simpson, inks by Ian Perkins, letters by Anne Half a Cree, Half a Skrull, and colors with a U by Steve White. Cover on this one by Jeff Sr. and John Burns, and it features the Headmasters removing their heads. It's not really one of the better covers of Marvel UK, but it's kind of neat. And it's got a highbrow, kind of sort of as the leader of the Headmasters, and we'll get to that. Story starts on Nebulos, and the Autobot Headmasters are being attacked by the Headmaster Decepticons. Fight ensues, but the Autobots, in their victory, are deterred away from rescuing the Target Masters, who have been captured. Interesting note here is that the colors of the Target Masters, and that's colors with a U, Six-Shot and Crosshairs have their palettes swapped, so you have a yellow and orange Crosshairs and a blue and purpley Six-Shot. And I will post images of that up on Twitter and probably on the Patreon, so be sure to check that out at TFU_info if you haven't already followed me on Twitter. Please do follow me on Twitter. Lots of fun things there. I just posted a photo of how how Mr. Potato Head arms fit in to 5mm ports. They don't fit perfectly. They're a little bigger than 5mm, so you kind of got to squeeze them in. But it certainly makes for some fun uses with Transformers toys. Now back to the story. The Autobot Headmasters, they go to free their Target Master companions, and they think it's because the Target Masters are being studied to steal the Target Master process from the Autobots, but it turns out they're just bait because the Decepticons bust in with Scorponok, and that takes us to issue 131, Worlds Apart, Part 2. written by Simon Furman, pencils by Will Simpson, inks by Ian Perkins, letters by Anne Half a Cree, Half a Skrull, and colors with a U by Nick Abadzis. Now, Nick Abadzis, colorist from Marvel UK, worked on many of their licensed titles: Action Force, The Real Ghostbusters, 2000 AD, Doctor Who, kind of all the staples of Marvel UK. And the cover of this issue by Lee Sullivan. And this one features Scorponok holding onto Highbrow in his Scorpion mode. It's actually a pretty nice cover. It says Scorpion Sting, Scorponok's Sting. And this one starts with Scorponok attacking the Autobots. We find out that the Decepticons are having a little trouble perfecting the Headmaster process. So this was not to steal Target Master technology, but to steal Headmaster technology. And eventually Scorponok steals Highbrow and escapes with him. The Autobots free their Target Master friends. Again, the coloring is swapped for Sure Shot and Crosshairs. And Hardhead accidentally calls Crosshairs Trigger Happy in this book, which I guess is just a typo. There seems to be some information, I guess, trying to coordinate things from the US and Europe, things that kind of got lost or changed between issues. Now, out in the fields of Nebulos, Scorponok has Highbrow and Gort. They are prisoners. And Highbrow and Gort, because they have such different personalities, they are conflicted in what to do. And they feel like this pairing doesn't really work. Just then, Chrome Dome arrives and distracts Scorponok, and Highbrow and Gort realize that their strength is in their differences, and they defeat Scorponok. The end. And that pretty much wraps the story. It fits weirdly in continuity because it doesn't fit in many continuities for the comic run. And the big interesting note here is that Fortress Maximus is not anywhere in this story. And it's because Fortress Maximus was not sold in Europe at this time. So they were not promoting this toy. I don't even know if they were sure if they were promoting that toy. So there's no Fort Max in the story, which kind of makes Highbrow and Gort the default leader, which goes back to kind of what we saw in the Rebirth in the cartoon, where Gort was the leader of the Nebulan little green humanoid people. Now that takes us to issue 132, and I really like this issue. And this is the one that isn't a two-parter. This is called Cup's Story, written by Simon Furman, art by Dan Reed, who also did the cover, letters by Anne Half a Cree, Half a Skrull, and colors with a U by Stephen White. And this cover is features Hot Rod getting squeezed by this hand that is off screen, and Cup walking away saying, "Sorry, kid, you're on your own." It doesn't really. It explains part of the story in there, but not really, because we start with Cup recounting a story as he pilots a ship through deep space. Space! We find out that Cup was found to be ineffective as an Autobot warrior and forced to retire, and then sent off into deep space, as you do, as was tradition at the time.
So I tied an onion to my belt, which was the style at the time. Now, to take the ferry cost a nickel, and in those days, nickels had pictures of bumblebees on them. Give me 5 bees for a quarter, you'd say. Now, where were we? Oh, yeah. The important thing was that I had an onion on my belt, which was the style at the time.
As he's out in deep space, kind of just being lonely and depressed, he sees a ship being attacked by these alien things and shoots down the alien things. Turns out the ship was piloted by none other than Hot Rod, who was excited to see a fellow Cybertronian. He's actually on a mission to rescue his buddy Blur from the Tyroxians. That's Tyroxians. Cup wants no part. He's going to sit and wallow in his depression. So Hot Rod doesn't take his new friend down to the planet. He goes it alone. On the planet, Hot Rod saves Blur from a prison, but faces a giant Tyroxian, which is the hand we see on the cover. And Cup shows up in the nick of time, realizing he is still an Autobot through and through, and saves Blur and Hot Rod. And the three go back to join Fortress Maximus's group of Autobots on Cybertron. So it's a flashback issue telling this one-off story of basically how Cup met Hot Rod. And I like it. It kind of fits pretty much in most continuities too. So while it does exist in the Marvel UK comic, it exists in the G1 Marvel continuity, you could easily plug this into pre-season 3, pre-Transformers the movie continuity as well.
Hey, want to help out this podcast or the website TFU.INFO? There's a number of ways you can do it. Let me tell you how. You can help us directly by joining our Patreon and enrolling as a student at Transformers University. There, you'll get early access to the podcast as well as exclusive behind-the-scenes peeks and perks for as little as $1 a month. Sign up is quick and easy. Just swing on by to www.patreon.com/TFUINFO. Another way you can help us is by using our Amazon link, www.tfu.info/Amazon. Type that into your browser whenever you want to shop at Amazon, and a portion of what you spend will be contributed back to us. It's that easy. Finally, you don't become the world's longest running transforming toy archive without some help from other fans. We're always on the hunt for photos of figures and accessories we're missing from our pages. If you'd like to contribute, go to tfu.info/help for a list of what we need, or send an email to info@tfu.info. tfu.info, the Alpha Trion and Omega Prime of transforming toys. Now, back to the show.
And that takes us to issue 133, Headhunt Part 1, where we're going to rejoin Death's Head in a new Transformers adventure. This one written by Simon Furman, art by Dan Reed, letters by Richard Starkings, colors with a U by Stephen White. And the cover here, this one surprised me. This is an important one because it is by a very famous comic book artist named Dave Gibbons. Now, if you don't know who Dave Gibbons is, he worked on this little miniseries. Actually, it was a long miniseries. It was 12 issues. Came out in the 80s. It's kind of, sort of, well known. It's called Watchmen. Dave Gibbons was the artist on Watchmen, and here he did the cover for a Marvel UK Transformers story. And this one features Death's Head on the cover, wielding his axe, Rodimus Prime on the ground, and about to take an axe to the back. So pretty cool here. I didn't know that Dave Gibbons did a Transformers piece. So for you comic nerds out there, definitely worth checking out issue 133 just for the cover. This one starts with Blot making a deal with Death's Head to put a contract out on Rodimus Prime. We find Rodimus Prime, and he's reflecting on his younger days and how much he'd rather be Hot Rod. And Cyclonus and Scourge are at Decepticon headquarters talking about how they want revenge on Death's Head for the butt-kicking he gave them back when we last talked about Death's Head. Now, Rodimus Prime on patrol on Cybertron with 2 Autobots. They disappear as Rodimus is talking before Rodimus finds the head of one of those Autobots thrown at him by Death's Head. Death's Head and Rodimus, they fight, of course, and the fight ends up bringing them into the sewers of Cybertron. Death's Head gets the upper hand and has his gun pointed at Rodimus's back when we have an explosion. The end. What happened? Did Rodimus get shot in the back? Did Death's Head win? We'll find out in issue 134, written by Simon Furman, art by Jeff Sr., letters by Richard Starkings, colors with a U by Stephen White, and a cover by Lee Sullivan. And this one features Cyclonus and Scourge stomping around the sewers with smoking guns with the word bubble, "You're next." And we find out the explosion was caused by Scourge wanting revenge on Death's Head, shooting him in the back. Now, Cyclonus and Scourge, they argue because Cyclonus wanted Death's Head to finish off Rodimus Prime first, but because of Scourge's impatience, Rodimus Prime has now escaped down the sewers of Cybertron, and the Decepticons are on the hunt. It turns out Death's Head, not dead. He finds the Decepticons, and the Decepticons find Rodimus Prime. Scourge and Cyclonus, they flee, and Rodimus Prime, battling Death's Head again, throws Death's Head's shield at him before racing to the surface. As he gets to the surface, Death's Head follows and finds out he's surrounded by Autobots, all pointing guns at him. Rodimus Prime, he's got a deal for Death's Head. He gives him 10,000 Shattucks in advance to bring him the heads of Cyclonus and Scourge, and that's where the story ends. And it's kind of a weird thing, because one, this guy just killed 2 of your guys. He just killed 2 Autobots trying to kill you. And Rodimus is just going to let that go. And on top of it, Rodimus is now putting hits out on people. That doesn't seem very noble and Prime-like. It's kind of a strange and weird way to tell a Transformers story, but that's what we got. And that is the end of Headhunt, bringing us to issue 135, Grudge Match. And if you like Dinobots, you're going to enjoy these two issues. This one written by Simon Furman, pencils by Jeff Anderson, inks by Stephen Baskerville, colors with a U by Steve White, letters by Anne Half a Cree, Half a Skrull, and the cover of this one by Anderson Baskerville, colors with a U on the cover by Robin Bautel. Now this cover features Swoop and Dive Bomb fighting it out in the air. And the story starts with the Predacons attacking a circus that the Dinobots see on TV. Swoop sees Dive Bomb and wants to fight him to maintain his secret of how Dive Bomb beat up Swoop and stole his name twice and had to be rescued by Optimus Prime. They fight, and Swoop is about to win, but the Predacons arrive. And that's basically issue 135, taking us to issue 136, Grudge Match Part 2. Now, this features the same creative team, but features a coven by Robin Smith. And this one has Grimlock standing over Dive Bomb with a giant rock, about to smash him in the head, and word bubble saying game over.
Game over, man. It's game over.
We pick up right where we left off. The Predacons are about to beat up on Swoop, but the Dinobots arrive. And the Dinobots and Predacons fight. The Dinobots are winning, but Swoop is losing to Dive Bomb. The fight ends up in front of Grimlock, and Grimlock intervenes, fighting Dive Bomb. Dive Bomb spills Swoop's secret, thinking he will embarrass Swoop in front of Grimlock. But guess what? Grimlock already knew and doesn't care. Just as Grimlock is about to deal the death blow to Dive Bomb, as illustrated on the cover, Swoop stops the fight. He wants to fight his own battles, and they let the Predacons go. And as the Predacons walk off and lick their wounds, Dive Bomb is excited from the cat and mouse game that's ahead, because he is excited to be able to fight Swoop many more times. And that wraps up Grudge Match, taking us to the final story we will cover in this episode, Ladies' Night. Part 1, written by Simon Furman, art by Dan Reed, letters by Anne Half a Cree, Half a Skrull, colors with a U by Yuan Peters, another Marvel UK colorist, did colors on Action Force, Death's Head, Zorro, and a cover here by Lee Sullivan that says Silent Scream on it, and features some of the characters we're about to see. I don't want to give away too much of the book by telling you about the cover, but the cover really does reflect what's in the book. And it starts with Susan Hoffman, who we last saw in the Transformers Action Force crossover that we covered a few episodes back, Marvel UK Transformers 125, and she is investigating Mount Verona. Mount Verona. Within Mount Verona, she finds the bodies of Galvatron and Ultra Magnus encased in ash. She goes on Joy Meadows' show with her discovery. If we remember Joy Meadows, she is Sludge's girlfriend from earlier issues. I say girlfriend loosely. She is the woman Sludge became infatuated with in early issues of the Marvel UK run. Elsewhere, Goldbug, Blaster, and the Throttlebots are watching TV, and they see this story about Mount Verona. And they decide to stop watching Herbie the Love Bug and head up to Mount Verona. So does Cindy Newell. She sees this story as well. She is the camper saved by Ultra Magnus, and she makes her way up to Mount Verona as well. But so do the Decepticons. And Shockwave orders Soundwave to head up to Mount Verona and destroy Galvatron, feeling Galvatron is too dangerous to this timeline to continue to exist. The Decepticons attack Soundwave and the Combaticons as the unit, and the Autobots arrive and meet up with the ladies. Goldbug realizes what the Decepticons are up to and thinks they're right and decides, yeah, you know what? We're not going to help. Let the Decepticons do the work. But Cindy, she's not happy with that, and she has other plans, taking us to issue 138. Now, 138, written by Simon Furman, art by Jeff Sr., letters by Anne Half a Cree, Half a Skrull, Colors with You by Nick Abadzis, and cover by Gary Kitson, with colors with a U by Robin Bautel. And this cover features Rollbar and Goldbug being held back by our three ladies who are telling us, back off, Autobots. This is a job only we can handle. That's right, it's Ladies' Night Part 2, and the girls start by sending a flaming Jeep into Swindle. We find out the Decepticons' plan is to blow up Mount Verona, but they don't know where Swindle is, so they start looking for him. Goldbug changes his mind and decides the Autobots should help, and they make their way to help out the ladies. The Combaticons, they find Swindle, only to find out that the girls decide to send a tank full of bombs at them and blow them up. In the explosion, Cindy and Joy, they're okay, but Susan is unconscious and in Onslaught's hand. The Throttlebots and Goldbug and Blaster, they all arrive, and Onslaught decides to leave Susan and retreat because the Decepticons had a plan, and the Autobots kind of figure it out from this. They realize that Soundwave is going to send this remote signal to blow up the bombs, but it turns out Blaster is jamming the frequency. While they're doing that, the Autobots defuse all of the bombs and thank the ladies, and Galvatron, encased in ash, starts to awaken. The end. And that's where we leave off before heading to used Autobots, where the Throttlebots and Blaster will hide out in a used car parking lot. All stuff we've covered here before on Transformers University. Now, this batch of stories, it's kind of a Simon Furman greatest hits of story threads he has done throughout the run of the Marvel UK stuff. So we've gotten little, like, if you don't know Marvel UK Transformers, or if you've never read it before, and I'm making my way through it for the first time, this batch of stories is a great way to introduce people to what goes on in Marvel UK Transformers, because you get a little taste of basically everything, right? You get it. We've started with a story that is meant to fit in with the greater continuity in a new story. We get a Cup one-off that is fantastic. And then we get a Death's Head story, a Dinobot story, and a Galvatron time-traveling story that all kind of exist and wrap up within their own little world in a couple of quick issues. So we do get like the greatest hits of Simon Furman. And I think the Cup story for me stands out as probably the best one. The Dinobot story is really good, action-packed. I really like Dinobots versus Predacons. I feel like that's a more natural rivalry than Predacons versus Skylynx and Dinobots versus Devastator. And so it's a good issue. Just cool watching, reading really the fight scenes between those. And then the Ladies' Night story, bringing back all the human characters that Furman has created for this tale, plus working in the Galvatron and Ultra Magnus story and finding out that Galvatron's not dead and Ultra Magnus probably isn't dead either, and we'll probably see them more in the future. So this is a good setup for things to come for Marvel UK.
Thanks for listening to the show. Stick around to hear what's coming up next episode, but first, I want to fill you in on a few ways you can stay in touch with the show. Want to be on the show? Leave us a voicemail at 702-763-4838. That's 702-POD-4TFU. Or send an email to info@TFU.INFO. Be sure to catch us on Twitter at TFU_info and on Facebook and Instagram under the username TFU.INFO, all one word. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/TFU.INFO, where we post all of our podcasts, plus special video segments, reviews, and live coverage of Transformers-related events such as New York Toy Fair and New York Comic-Con. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please visit us at www.tfu.info, the world's longest-running transforming toy archive.
Well, I do want to thank you for joining me on the show. If you're interested in joining me on the next episode of Transformers University, we are going to go back to Japan. And back to the Headmasters cartoon series. We're going to talk about 3 more episodes of the Headmasters animated series. We'll also talk about the Omni Productions dubbed versions of them and find our fun sound clips and everything that goes with watching the Omni Productions versions next time on Transformers University. So until then, I am your host, Anthony Brucali, owner, operator, madman behind TFU.info. Happy New Year, everyone. Until episode 113. See ya.